Hello, and for today's Unbiased Gear Review, we are taking a look at a Charvel Dimas Pro Mod. The specs of this instrument are as follows. We have an Alder body with a bolt-on quarter-sewn maple neck, maple board. We have 22 frets. We have a Floyd Rose original double locking trem, as well as Seymour Duncan JB and 59 pickups. This is an older 2015 model, so it only has a master volume and a 3-way toggle switch. So let's go over the playability of the instrument. The neck is rather nice. It's a nice kind of light C shape to it. The fretwork is pretty good. I'm not really finding any sharp edges along the edge of the fretboard until you get up to the higher frets up here. Then it becomes a little bit more apparent. Would I call them sharp on a level of like Ibanez? Definitely not. But I would say that it just could be a little bit smoother around here. That being said, I'm not necessarily finding any other issues with the fretwork, except that certain harmonics, when I was banging away on the whammy bar, would tend to fret out a little bit. So there might be a little bit of a crowning issue right up along here. I certainly can't find any fret buzz whenever I'm doing chromatic runs on this thing. But yeah, it might behoove you to take a look at it. The only thing that I would really definitely call out about the neck as far as playability goes is that typically I like an oil finish that's on the back of the neck. However, on this particular instrument, that oil finish is really reactive to anything that might be on your hands. It's literally something where if you've got any sort of dirt or oils or anything on your hands, it just tends to lend itself to a lot of drag when you're playing this thing. You know, it's a little off-putting, especially for an instrument like this that's kind of built for 80s hair metal speed. So, I don't know. To me, I wasn't really a fan so much of the finish on the back of this particular neck on this particular instrument. Besides what's going on with the neck, I'm not really finding any other finish issues with regards to this. The Floyd Rose routing looks like it could be a little bit neater. Just some slight jagged edges around there. And looking underneath the pickup rings, it's looking like the pickup routes are also suffering from the same treatment as well. The hardware itself is rather nice. I love this switch, and I love the end of this toggle switch. It's really, really heavy duty. It feels like I could really bang around this thing and not really worry about it snapping off like some cheap toggle switches do. The original Floyd Rose bridge is a really, really nice touch. I do love my Floyds, and this one is very, very responsive. I get a lot of cool flutters and dive bombs out of it. One thing I will say I didn't really care for, though, if you'll notice there, I had to swap out the Allen screws on the locking nut. The Allen screws that came on this one stripped so easily when I tried to tighten it while I was giving this thing a setup. Not a fan of that at all. Put some more decent parts on the instrument before it leaves the R&D phase, guys. If there's any other thing that I could probably call out that I do not necessarily care for about this instrument as far as the specs, as far as the way it was built, anything like that. I would say I'm also not a fan of the fact that this one, in order to access the truss rod, you have to pull the neck off of the instrument. Now, this has been resolved on newer model Charvels, though, that has the spoke wheel right here. So, several points to you, Charvel. Thank you so much for figuring that out. So now, as far as how the instrument sounds, it definitely has that kind of 80s shred hair metal vibe going to it. It's got the Seymour Duncan 59 and the JB in there. The 59 is one thing, but the JB has such a long storied history with those 80s hair metal shred guys. You know, it's that hot rodded PAF tone that they were always known for. It sounds cool. That being said, it's not something that I as a player myself have ever necessarily jived with. I think there's a lot of other and better options that Seymour Duncan has available. The Duncan Custom, the Custom 5, the Distortion, and probably my favorite, the Alternative 8. They just have a little bit more low-end oomph, a little bit more punch, and also a little bit more output. Not DC resistance, but actual output. Like every note is a little bit hotter. That being said, it still captures that vibe. It still captures that essence. It's just, to my ears, it's lacking a little bit. It sounds cool, if not a little bit stayed, if not a little bit held back. It could benefit with just a little bit more hotter signal, in my opinion. Now, that being said, the neck pickup, the 59 is its own storied little beast. It has just such a beautiful, smooth tone to it. Especially on a guitar that has 22 frets, you get this neck pickup right underneath that sweet spot harmonically, and ooh, it just sings very, very nicely. Very, very nice. I love it. So my overall thoughts on the instrument, I don't know. It's a good, solid instrument. I love that the Floyd is super solid on it. I mean, once I got those screws replaced up here on the locking nut and clamped it down nice and tight, I haven't had to tune this thing back up yet. It's great. I love banging around on this thing, and this definitely has that vibe of like the 80s hair metal stuff. So if that's the kind of thing you're going for, even like more classic metal and power metal stuff, this thing seems to really excel at. That being said, if you need something that's a little bit more extreme, this probably isn't going to cut it for you. All in all, it's a solid workhorse instrument, kind of bare bones as far as the appointments go, and I generally and genuinely enjoy it. There's a few things I would change. Definitely a little bit different finish on the back of the neck. Then again, it could just be this particular model isn't gelling with me. Maybe if I had something newer, maybe it would respond a little bit differently. But if you guys have tried one of these, please leave your comment in the comment section below. I would love to know what your thoughts are on this model. And so now the question on everyone's mind, Arnold, what are you drinking today? I've got a really good one today. Today, from Abbey du Valdieu, this is their Grand Cru Belgian Abbey Ale. It's a Belgian quad that is 10.5% ABV, and it comes in these 1 pint, 9.4 fluid ounce bottles. I'm sure that there's a better name for it, however many milliliters, but this is a absolutely wonderful tasting beer. I've had a couple tasters of it already, as you can tell. But it pours a very, very, very nice brown with a creamy, brownish, tannish head. It has some very sweet, slightly hoppy notes to it, but the taste is so good. The best way that I could describe the taste is it's got a little bit of apricot note that tickles the back of your throat, but there's also hints of banana bread and raisin bread in there too. It's very, very rich. It's malty, it's sweet, and it's outright delicious. There's a reason why every time you look this beer up, it has a very, very high rating on like Beer Advocate and Rate Beer. It's just oh so good. Yeah, this is probably the best Belgian quad that I've had in a while. So there again, Abbey du Val d'Eu, and this is their Grand Cru. Also, it should be noted that they release different vintages of this every single year. This is, I believe, the 2016 vintage, but so tasty. So that's it for me. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them in the comment section below. Sorry, good beer. Yeah, please correspond with me. I'd love to hear what you have to say if you've had a chance to play one of these. Like I said, this is the 2015 version of this instrument. They have fixed a few things. They have changed a few things. I would love to know if anyone has played both the older version and the newer version and which you think is better and why. Thank you so much.